Hey guys, Jacob Barnhill with the Barnhill team at eXp Realty. I wanted to go over 5 tips for you guys when you're making upgrades to your home you're thinking of selling to avoid when you're thinking of making the most amount of money, and are you going to get the return that you're looking for on these items. So diving right in, let's start with number 1. Number 1 is personal upgrades. Personal upgrades could come in the form of a pool or creative storage for the house. Now, where people can really get messed up is obviously I don't think anybody's going to go put a $40,000 pool in their house if they're thinking of selling this year or next year. I wouldn't think that that would be a smart upgrade. But hence, it made the list, and I wanted to make sure that we put that one out there just in case anybody was thinking that that was just something they had to have. Hey, more power to you. If that's just something you have to have over the next 2 or 3 years, especially with COVID, you don't want to go to the community pool and you got money to blow, sure, by all means, go ahead. But I recommend that you do not put that kind of money in the property. Now, if there's some really unique space that you're trying to maybe upgrade, sure, I could see maybe making some of these cubby holes where they'll break into the drywall. And I've seen it for like laundry rooms and other places, kitchen cabinets, and you can really update the space and it would be really cool. But most of the time, we don't need that stuff, right? If the space is really weird, maybe. And I say a big maybe. Most likely, you don't need to do it. But like I've seen people convert a whole room because they wanted a walk-in closet. And they're like, oh, I'll just add the wall back, right, when we go to sell. Well, you may not get the money that you need. I hope you really want that extra closet. I've seen literally people make an extra walk-in closet with bedroom 2 off of the master, and that was an extension, and they didn't have to change the square foot of the house. They just knocked out that wall in that bedroom to the other bedroom, and they made a nice big master closet. So if you're planning on staying in your property a while and that's something that you like, maybe there's other 2 bedrooms in the area and you can still retain your value. Probably not, but if you really want it, like I said, more power to you, but it wouldn't be something that I would recommend if you're thinking of selling anytime in the near future. All right, so personal upgrades. Now we're going to go jump to number 2. Number 2 is going to be if there's 2 floors to the home. You really want to focus on the main floor, especially if you have a master on the main. You got the kitchen and you got these other spaces that are down there. That's going to be people's first impression. If you have the extra bedrooms and things upstairs, I wouldn't spend a lot of your dollars on floor 2. All right, so number 3. I recommend that you do not make upgrades in the form of chair molding, wainscoting, and things of that nature, right? We don't want to be adding these things, especially if they weren't already there. Like I said, always check the comps, but most likely, that's another big maybe on the list. You're most likely not going to need to add that if it's already not there. Now, if it is there and it needs maybe some patching and it needs a little bit of work and you're just replacing small sections and you don't want to have the cost of tearing it down and repainting the whole room, then I could see that where you're just making some small fixes to certain spots and things like that. I literally just made a recommendation the other week. We had chair molding that was in a room and the room needed paint anyway, and he was going to go buy this material to go put in the room. And I just recommend you take it down. Take it all down. None of the rest of the house actually had it. The comparable sales didn't have it. And he was going to go spend extra material, even though it wasn't a whole lot, but does it match? Does it line up? Does it need a cut? You know what I mean? All that stuff. Really don't need to deal with that. I would just take it all off. The wall needs to be prepped and everything anyway to get the paint up, the new paint that you were likely going to put on it in his situation. And we ended up saving him a little bit of money there. All right. So number 4, and I mentioned number 4, and you might think this is totally 1990s. And yes, it was. We are seeing some of this come back in, and it's accent walls. Accent walls are not anything that is going to give you a direct dollar return on your investment. Accent walls is going to cost you extra paint and extra time, right? We don't really need to have accent walls. I would paint it. If you're going to make paint a part of your upgrade, I would just finish off with the paint that you already have. All right. Don't buy any extra color if it's not needed. All right. So number 5, All right. Number 5 tip to avoid upgrades on is going to be things like your air conditioner, your furnace, your water heater, and even your roof. And you might be thinking, wow, really? I don't need to upgrade those? Those could be very costly items, and people might be asking for those. That is true. However, if they're in working condition, I would not upgrade these to newer items just because they're older. If they're working, then I would say go ahead and get them serviced, cleaned, right? Before you go and spend the kind of money that you're going to likely spend on those kind of items. So I wouldn't add those to your upgrade list if you don't have to, if they're in working condition. If they're not working, then that is something that can we get them serviced to working condition, right? If the property's been vacant for 3 years and it has an air conditioner that's out, we're probably going to need to go ahead and replace that. It's going to be very costly to get that back in working condition. So, all right. So some areas to really focus on, just to wrap us up. I would focus on the kitchens, the bathrooms, paint, and floors. And I would do that in that order, right? So just because they're on that list, though, of things to focus on doesn't mean that you have to do them. The floors might be fine. The walls might be fine, right? And the kitchen and the bathrooms might be fine. So those are only if you know that they're needing an upgrade. And I would just make sure that you're looking at those things and making sure that you're not spending money just because you feel like you have to. I would really want to look at that with you, hopefully, of course, and make sure that we're looking at spending our money effectively, but also what are some things that we don't have to necessarily do, right? So the 2 biggest things I always tell people to focus on is it going to help you sell the property? And then also, is it going to help you sell for more money? Really what we're looking at is those comparable sales. If you're looking at past sales that have actually made more money because of those items, then sure, right? But if they're not necessarily making more money and the comparable sales don't show us that, then I would be highly skeptical of making that kind of upgrade. So I hope these were helpful tips. If you guys need any specific assistance, you want to formulate a specific plan for you, reach out to our team. We'd be more than happy to help.